Bonk. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. We are the Nerds. I'm Cage. Joining me, as always, is Chair. Well, not as always,
Chair.
but 95%
Most
of
of
the
the time.
time.
Yeah, not recently, but now I am. So
Yeah. So
I got my
welcome.
LSAT scores back.
Yeah, how'd you
Um,
do? Terrible? Great?
I did bad, but not awful. So I got a
Okay.
145, which is just 5 points below. So it's graded from 120 to 180, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very close to the middle, basically, like being the average. And I also did this test, probably studied 3 or 4 weeks out. I've been on a 4-week academic hiatus, 4-year academic hiatus. Been doing a lot of hard drugs. So I'm proud that I was able to get like something that was like, in the 140 range. So maybe I can retake it again, and see if I can get a better score. Because I know like the logic games do, they really just trick me up. And I feel like if I just study really hard and get the strategies down that I can use on scratch paper to help solve these things and just boost up more of those answers into like being correct rather than incorrect, I could probably get a way better score. So hopefully I'll
Nice.
be reporting back in a couple months with a better score soon.
Yep. Just gotta keep trying, keep pushing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about The Acolyte, Episode 5. There's only a little bit of news, really. It's like Kevin Feige talked about the Fantastic Four movie, pretty much saying production starts next month and it takes place in the 60s, but not our 60s, obviously a different universe with
In
more
117.
futuristic technology.
Is it going to be confirmed in 117, the Marvel canon universe or whatever that is?
It's not in the MCU, really.
Oh, okay.
Like it's pretty much like what I was thinking is going to happen anyway is like they'll be introduced in like their own world, and it'll establish them as characters, as heroes, or maybe they're already established heroes in that world, and then something will happen, some kind of convergence, some kind of barrier between worlds breaking down, and that'll bring them into the MCU by the end of that movie. And it won't be like a big like fish out of water thing because their version of the 1960s in that universe is probably more advanced than our current world. That kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Pedro Pascal is going to be Mr. Fantastic, right?
Yes.
He's Richard Reed Richards.
Reed Richards, yes.
Classic Nerd Ledger one-liner here. Just got to wait and see.
Yeah.
Hopefully it all comes together. Hopefully the writing will be great. Hopefully the screen, hopefully the acting will be top notch. Hopefully the sets will be fantastic and not all CGI all the time. Hopefully they'll have some good mixed practical effects, and and everyone will bring their own game and make a good movie, a good Fantastic Four movie that we all know and want to see. You and I remember how pissed you were at the last one, so I don't want you to get like traumatized for a third time.
I wasn't pissed. I wasn't pissed.
Yeah.
I was just.
You literally said in the middle, like as soon as it ended, that fucking sucked, like loud as fuck in the middle of the theater.
I don't remember that. I just remember like the only thought that sticks with me from that movie that I kept thinking over and over throughout the whole movie and afterward is this movie literally accomplishes nothing. Like it just doesn't, like just nothing happens. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the other news, it only matters if you know anything about Comic-Con. Because if not, then what I'm about to say, you will be like, what, huh? What does that mean? But Marvel is returning to Hall H at Comic-Con this year. And I'll explain what that means. Hall H is where all the big people, big studios, big whatever, that is where everybody wants to go. That's where people line up for like 12 hours to try to get in to watch the major announcements from the major studios. Marvel was not at Hall H last year. The last big Hall H appearance they had was when they announced, I think it was 2019, I think when they announced Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which we didn't get for many years after that because of COVID and all that stuff. But they haven't done Hall H for a while.
The star died. That happened too.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they haven't done Hall H for a while, and the main reason is because Disney has other major convention events like D23 and things like that where Marvel has been announcing their timelines and their movies. Actually, I take it back. The last Hall H appearance was when they announced Phase 5 and 6. Phase 6. When they announced like Secret War and stuff. So a couple years ago, like two years ago. They skipped last year for sure. But they're back this year, so that means that there will probably be a lot of announcements, including will Kang Dynasty be called Kang Dynasty? Will they call it something else? What characters might show up? Who might be playing those characters? They announced when Chadwick Boseman was cast as Black Panther. They announced that at Comic-Con, 2014 or 15. He was pulled out on stage with Chris Evans to announce Civil War. So this is where the big announcements happen. So that's kind of big news that Marvel will be at Hall H at Comic-Con this year, and you can expect some big announcements, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, so spoiler warning, we're going to talk about The Acolyte episode 5. We're going to spoil it.
And hot Sith daddy action. I'm just kidding. Maybe.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just
that guy was hot. Just got to put that out there.
He was. Yes. I do want to say it's very funny to me, and some of this will be sarcasm, but it is funny to me that, like, all of a sudden people care about Ki-Adi-Mundi, motherfucking big-ass conehead, that, like, nobody ever cared about before. Like, and maybe I'm speaking a little bit from my own experience. As a kid, I had a bunch of Star Wars toys. Bro, I had Kit Fisto, I had Shaak-Ti, I had Luminara, I had Mace Windu. I didn't have fucking conehead Ki-Adi-Mundi because he's always been fucking useless. Like, and I get it. That's not why people are mad that Ki-Adi-Mundi was in episode 4. People are mad because it's like, well, they obviously don't care about the lore and the story enough to research it and know that this will potentially break canon by having him here and being aware that there's this dark Jedi, potentially Sith out there, and then having him deliver that line or whatever. Listen to every piece of context that Ki-Adi-Mundi is in the prequel trilogy. Motherfucker has one line in every movie, and all of them are, bro, you could put a fucking Sith Lord in front of him, he'd go, I don't think it's a Sith Lord. Ki-Adi-Mundi's fucking useless, brother. In the first movie, Qui-Gon's like, I believe I fought a Sith. And he's like, bro, the Sith have been gone for a millennium. Pretty much saying, I don't believe you. In the next movie, when they're talking about Count Dooku being potentially a Sith, he says, Count Dooku is a political idealist, not a murderer. Yeah, no, but he is. He is a murderer. Yeah, he was trying to get Queen Amidala assassinated. Not Queen, but, and then he says, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Way to go, buddy. Like, he's useless. He's always been useless, but we care all of a sudden. And I get it. Like, the point is, they must not care about the lore because they should know that this is blah, blah, blah. And, like, there are a lot of good reasons to criticize the show. You don't need to, fish for them. And on top of that, like, I do also understand, like, when so much is problematic to you, it's just, like, another thing that even if it's little, you're like, oh, there's another thing, like, obviously, right? So it's just funny. But this episode 5, highlights... I think it represents very well this entire show. It both its strengths and its weaknesses. Episode 5, if you ask me, did I like it? I would say, yes, I did. I did like it. Yeah. If you ask me, was it good? I would say, not really. And that's not because it's bad. I don't think
Star Wars in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's the fight scenes are some of the best that Disney's done. They don't even come close to the prequel trilogy, so I don't want to hear that. But the fight scenes are really good. In this show, the fight scenes have been very good. So there's that. If you think too much about anything that's happening, again, it's like it's not great as far as characters' motivations and the stories and whatever. And it's like, obviously, like, there's some interesting things, like, again, interesting ideas within the show, right? Like, we're alluding to stuff that happened with Master Soul and when he first was on Brendock and met May and Osha and stuff like that. Like, we know that some conversation's going to happen there and some reveal is going to happen where we find out what actually happened. We get this little hint about, like, we knew this kind of already, like, Osha's parents or mother being able to, like, infiltrate your mind, kind of. She brings that up in this episode, and we also see the potentially Sith. He says he's Sith. I don't know. But the bad guy, we see him also doing that a little bit. But there's a lot of little interesting things. But I still feel like I don't understand May at all. Like,
Yeah.
her character makes no sense to me. Maybe she just doesn't know what she wants, but she spent like 16 years wanting revenge on the Jedi, and then finds out her sister's alive and still is going to go to kill Konaka, and then decides, I'm just going to turn myself over, and then has every opportunity still to turn herself over, but instead fights Jeki, and then runs away at every opportunity she can. And then, like,
I just thought that was kind of funny, but low-key, I just think it's because her character is supposed to be this dumb fucking kid. She's supposed, I really think they're trying to hammer in that she's just a clown. Like, that her character is a clown, and she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's, like, stumbling through everything. That's what I think, personally. I could be wrong, but I just think that her character is being set up in a way where, like, she's just this fuck up that doesn't know what she's doing, that's being manipulated by pretty much the only real authority figure she's ever had in her life, and that she's just kind of a fuck up that's scared, and she's looking out, now she's, like, looking out for number one. I think that's, like, why she ran away so many times. Like, it was like a theme. Like, she just only cares about herself, and she's going to try and get away no matter what.
Sure. But she wanted to kill the Jedi.
Well, yeah.
And now all of a sudden she doesn't care about killing Jedi.
Yeah.
You know,
Because,
like,
you know, when you get
she
into
wants
when
revenge
you
for
start-
something.
Yeah.
And, like, even in this episode, it's like the kind of the mystery was, like, did she actually start the fire and kill all these people? Or was it, like, something happened with the Jedi? Clearly something happened, right? Like, and we saw in episode 3 that, like, one of the mothers, I don't remember if it was Anasea or the Zabrak one. I don't remember which one, but, like, they, like, got into Torben's mind, right? And, like, his eyes went all black and shit. So, like, was there some mind possession thing that happened and the Jedi killed all the witches and now, like, that's why May wants revenge? Or does she simply want revenge because she felt like they were trying to take away Osha, and then she says, I don't want them to take you, so I'm going to kill you. But as an adult, like, sure, she's grown, so she doesn't want to kill her sister anymore. And I just don't understand her character at all and her motivations, and like, none of it makes any sense to me.
To me, like, again, you know, you're a really rational, grounded person. Like, I can understand, like, the emotional angst and, like, conquest of, like, trying to do these things and, like, being pulled in these different directions and just, like, wanting to worry about yourself. So I think her character is a little bit more interesting than the way you put it, and I think we'll probably have to disagree about this until, like, you know, the end of the show, and then maybe we can have a deeper review on it. Let's see. What else? That guy was really hot. He picked this up. But his outfit is really, like, with the helmet and the exposed bare arms, they were all dirty. It was a very unsettling and very intimidating.
Yeah.
I think that really...
So I think that look was because of how his arms looked. I think they wanted you to believe it was the Zabrak mom. Mother Coral. I think her name was Coral. I think they wanted you to believe that. Like, and part of me wanted to believe that because last episode, like episode 4, they were really just saying, like, pretty much, Kimir is the bad guy, guys. Look at him. He's clearly the bad guy. And then he was. And that was, like, really the only disappointing part, is how obvious it was. Other than that, he was cool as shit. Like, he was really cool. And, like, again, like, part of Star Wars is always this. Star Wars has always just been cool. Like, there's just cool stuff happening and cool things. It looks
cool,
right?
Like, and to his outfit is cool. I think his helmet looks very intimidating with, like, the metal mouth. I think it looks super badass. I guess everyone's like clowning on it online, but
I've heard a couple names for him: Darth Teeth and Smilo Ren.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but Darth Teeth is fucking badass. But still, like, I think it's cool. I think I was talking with some Lord nerds about this. I know what this is because I played Knights of the Republic, but his helmet is made of solid cortosis weave, which I didn't even know that could disrupt lightsabers. I went back and looked, and it said, in the old Republic files, it said, yep.
There are comics where they show it.
Yeah, the swords that you're using in the Knights of the Republic to fight the Dark Jedi have a weave, but they're not pure cortosis. And, like, you know, but pure cortosis can disrupt a lightsaber. So that's that's really cool. A really, really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
All the fight scenes were phenomenal. The level of violence in here was unhinged, like, really, really violent. When he freaking there's like neck snap or freaking triple stab that one apprentice in the Jeki, in the front. Yeah, dude, like, with his
like he pulled, like, a little tiny lightsaber out of his other lightsaber.
Yeah, and that's a real combat style too for Jedi. He's using one long hand lightsaber, then using a short lightsaber in the offhand. That's a well-known thing.
Well, Ahsoka, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought she used just two sabers, or
she does, but she uses a short saber.
Yeah, because he was using long and short, which is, like, you know, its own.
That's what Ahsoka does too.
Oh, okay. So it was just all really, really cool shit, man. Like, it really was. Like, The fights were phenomenal. Like, he killed all the Jedi. First, the guy who does Soul is really good at, like, the fight cinematography and everything like that. They obviously practiced really hard. The first way to get away from him using the bugs is very clever. Using
Oh,
something
I
to set
hated
up
the bug thing though.
I thought it was
Like
kind of cool,
brother can force push like 7 or 8 Jedi Masters, but can't like force push away a bunch of fucking moths.
It's just Star Wars, man. I don't know what to tell you. Why didn't he just force next step everyone there at the same time?
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to Star Wars, man. I don't know what to tell you. So, yeah. Yeah, and this dude, like, he just had these thick ass arms, and like, it was just really freaking. Man, when he took that helmet off, and he was all sweaty and dirty and grungy, and he freaking pulled the sister like into like the throat grab. I was like, oh, damn,
Yeah.
It was like, this is a very intense episode. I just don't think I was expecting it to be this intense. I was expecting it to be a little bit more campy, and there we got the neck snap, which is, I don't think, is something I ever thought I'd ever see in a Star Wars franchise ever. I don't think, maybe out the Clone Wars because it's more military. I don't even know if they did any neck snaps in the Clone Wars, to be honest with you, though. Do you remember any off the top of your head?
No, I mean maybe on like some not battle droids, but like stormtroopers or something, not clone troopers, or something like that. But like not that comes to mind.
Yeah. And like his one-liners too, like where he was like, where Master Soul is upset about the apprentice, like, she was just a child, and he was like, well, you brought her here, you fucking dumb piece of shit, and like that was great.
Like there's clearly something to connect Kimmer to the witches, I think. Yeah. Like he maybe he's a witch. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Because he seems to know, he feels like, obviously, like there was history with him and Soul, because Soul is like, like he says, oh, don't you remember me, Soul? And Soul's like, something about you is familiar. And that can't just be from like a couple episodes, or like the first episode or second episode where like they met him briefly, right? Like I feel like there's got to be something deeper there. And then he also was kind of like that with Osha, where he's like it seemed like he was familiar with her in a way, and like I guess he is because he met her also in another episode. But like, is it really just from that? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
So
like I said, there's mystery here. There's questions I want answered. I'm compelled to watch the next episode now. So I just think that this episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, in addition to that, like, there was the scene, and I don't think it was that great of a scene, because I just think that the writing isn't very good. But where Osha and May finally are like talking, and like you were saying, like May is very like it's just about surviving, and like I didn't have anyone, and now I have you, and you have me, and that's all we have. And then Osha's like, no, you're a murderer, and the Jedi have always been more family to me than you.
Why don't you get a fucking job like I did, you motherfucker?
Yeah. Why don't you flip my burger, stir my creamer, or something?
Become a mechanic. A mechanic. Is that what they call her? A mechanic?
Yeah, a mechanic. So, yeah, and then Osha, tries to arrest May, and then May is like, nah, you suck at blocking. I'm just going to force push you so hard that you just fall asleep. And then she cuts off her hair with a lightsaber so she could pretend to be pretend to be Osha. And then Soul just accepts that the sister is gone. I have a feeling Soul either knows it's May, or
I think he knows.
He's going to find out right away in the next episode, because Basil's over there sniffing around.
Yep.
On the ship, right? Because he has the fucking dumbass light, flashlight droid, Pip.
Yep.
And so he's like,
I hate that little droid, man. Like, I hate little tech droids like that. Like, BD1 was cool because he's still kind of bipedal in a way. He's not like a own little tool, but I just don't like the idea of like a little droid being a little tool, because it's like, why doesn't everyone have one?
Yeah.
Damn.
There's no rarity in that, So, but yeah. So like, May is just pretending to be Osha and hops up on the ship with Soul, and Basil is like sniffing around. So I'm pretty sure Basil's gonna start fucking yelling like a weirdo when he sees May. And then Kimmer, the guy who says, I don't have a name, but you might call me Sith, whatever that means. He goes and finds Osha, and I'm pretty sure like he definitely knows it's Osha. And then he says some cryptic shit like, even in the midst of our triumph, sorrow is deep, or some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't. What does he say?
I kind of liked how poetic he was. Not gonna lie,
Yeah,
like he said
no,
some other
no.
things about like freedom, like the Jedi just won't let me live, and like you and I know as a Star Wars like as Star Wars nerds, like a Jedi is like the dominant religion. That's what they follow, right? Like it's a core set of tenets and beliefs, and they don't allow other Force sensitives to exist inside the Republic. You know, like in
Well,
peace, like
I
like they
mean,
come and take your fucking children from you if your kid is super Force
what is the freedom he wants? The freedom to just go around murdering Jedi and other people?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know. See, that's like the dichotomy. Like, obviously the Sith is the extreme response, but also,
if that's even what he is. Like, he claims to be Sith, but is he actually a Sith? Like,
yeah,
and then he says he wants an acolyte, which to some people, I don't know if it's true. This is what people are reading into it though, is like indicates that he's not the Sith Lord or the Sith Master, because if he was, he would be looking for an apprentice, not an acolyte.
yeah,
And like you said, Jedi is pretty much a religion, and acolyte is also a religious term.
yeah.
And so I don't know how many discussions have been had about the title and its significance or meaning or whatever. I know we haven't really talked about it. But essentially, an acolyte is like a person who assists a like priest or a religious figure in like, certain ceremonies and rites and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like that in in Knights of the Republic, right? Like, there's a Sith Academy, which doesn't make any sense because there's like the rule of two, right? But they're called
But
like
that
acolyte, like
that started with Bane. So like
yeah,
Bane was a part of a Sith Academy. When he was recruited, he went to a Sith Academy, and then he
yeah,
did a bunch of research and found out like, no, this is stupid. We shouldn't have all these Sith because we're dividing our power and it's making us weak.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I think actually I think I'm thinking of Exar Kun. Never mind. Because in Kotar, I think you go to Bane's tomb if I'm not mistaken, but maybe I'm misremembering. You go to four Sith Lords' tombs in Knights of the Republic.
I mean, it
I
could
can't
be
think what because
I'd have
it's
to
like
look
the
at the
Sith Empire.
timeline, but
Yeah, it's like the Sith Empire is like different now, But they still like the Dark Jedi still have like little followers and shit, right? Like they was even present for Palpatine. Palpatine like started the religion of the dark side of the Force or whatever, and had all like these little minions and shit.
yeah, which are more or less acolytes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's cool because like the Jedi are also they're basically like space wizards. That's just what it comes down to. Like a
Yeah.
lot of them like it's very simple.
Well, I mean, and again, like it brings up this idea that this is like potentially canon breaking because all these Jedi are now missing, and if they find
Yeah.
them, right, like in this time of peace, because this is what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be in this massive time of peace. You have Jedi with lightsaber holes in them. That's going to raise some suspicions, but still, I don't know if that necessarily would raise suspicions that it's a Sith, because they believe the Sith to be extinct, and even like Count Dooku was never a Sith Lord or a Sith. Like he didn't have the eyes, he didn't have any of that. Like he could wield, Sith abilities, but he was never a Sith. He was just like essentially a fallen Jedi.
Yeah, Dark Jedi.
And he was never actually Palpatine's apprentice.
Yep.
I mean, he kind of was, but he wasn't really, right? Like,
yeah.
So, the biggest thing is like Sith are meant to be in hiding, and even in this episode, Sol asks him like, why risk being found, right? Like, why risk revealing yourself? And he's kind of like, I didn't plan to, but like May is betraying me, the stupid bitch. And that's why I'm, now have to kill everybody who sees my face and all this stuff. But it's still going to raise red flags. Like the Jedi, I mean, again, we want to highlight, I guess, the hubris of the Jedi and how like they think like they're unstoppable and like, this is peace, and we'd rather have this time of peace and not report things to the council or report things to the Senate than raise any flags or alarms or whatever, and just kind of brush things under the rug. Like there's a part of the Jedi that are like that, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. Again, these are like the bits of this that are like interesting and they make you think, and there's questions there. The little nuances, the storytelling, again, I don't think is great. The writing, I don't think is great. But this
the
episode
dialogue
was
is definitely
really cool.
the weakest part for sure.
Which is surprising. It's not surprising. What's surprising is how good the bad guy's dialogue is. And maybe it's
Yeah.
just because he delivers the lines very well.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
probably what it has to go to. Like he's like leaning into the absurdity almost, you know?
yeah, he's really good. Like that.
Yeah.
Like the only, like I said, the only thing disappointing is that like the reveal is it was the guy that we all thought it was. Other than
Yeah.
that, like he was really cool. Like the things he said were like, thought provoking and interesting, and like he's just
Yeah.
cool. He's just a good villain. That yeah. So overall, it was a very enjoyable episode, and it does leave you kind of in a position where like, you're ready to see what happens next. I think at this point, so many people have tapped out of the show that like they just don't care anymore.
Mm.
And I think it comes down to like, what kind of person are you? Like, obviously for you, like these things, like these interesting concepts and the fight scenes and all this stuff, they are going to outweigh any of the weak storytelling or weak dialogue to you because, you're coming to Star Wars for those things that you enjoy, and those things are mostly present.
Little,
Like nobody's ever gone to
little
Star Wars and
campy.
said, "Wow, man, the writing in the prequels is fantastic." Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not really.
Oh, it's like you said in the beginning though, like, did you like, do you love like do you like episode 1, right? Do you like episode 1? Yes. Is it a good movie? No. No.
Yeah,
No, dude, like no, like dude, like there's freaking PowerPoint like changes between the things, like it's just you're going between like different event to different like random event that's like loosely connected with like random cheap pieces of dialogue. Like everything is a one liner. Like literally every piece of dialogue is a one liner in like
yeah,
episode 1, right? That's just how it is. Like there's no organic conversations. Like in a way they struggle to form organic conversations here, you know? Because I think they don't portray the Jedi as human enough. I think it's like what it comes down to at the end of the day is they're not very like rational and they act very Jedi-y. Or at least I don't know. I think that's like kind of the vibe I get. The rest of the dialogue is definitely cringe, you know, cringe.
yeah. I still think this dialogue is probably worse than the Anakin Padme dialogue, though.
Well, anything's better than the anime Padawan.
No, I think Anakin Padme is better than this. People
Oh,
get
you
mad
think
about the "I don't like sand" line. I think there's nothing wrong with that line.
he doesn't like sand.
Like, bro, when I was growing up, when I was like fucking 8 years old, watching that movie at the midnight showing, this guy says I don't like sand. I was like, yeah, me neither. It gets in your toes, gets in your ass crack. I mean, I wasn't thinking that as an 8-year-old, but it's true. It's true.
I'm not telling, man.
There was a time in my life where I loved Attack of the Clones. Like I thought it was amazing. And really it's only because, you remember the cool parts. You remember Mace Windu rocking up saying this party is over, right? And then doing the flip off the balcony after he gets his, and then Jango Fett sets his cloak on fire, and then he's got his cool purple lightsaber and he's fighting, right? And then all the other Jedi show up, like, just cool. It's cool. And then the fight scene at the end with Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then Yoda pops up and he starts going fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So you don't love it for the Anakin Padme stuff. But Detective Obi-Wan was pretty cool, I don't know. But what's funny is like the thing about Star Wars and the fan base of Star Wars is like the fan base is immense, right? And you'll find millions of different opinions on the same thing from Star Wars fans. Encoding overloaded. Shut the fuck up. Sorry, I read a thing. My OBS was yelling at me saying my encoder is overloaded. It's because my computer is dog shit. But yeah, like I was saying, millions of different Star Wars fans with millions of different opinions. And the thing is, like, obviously the loud ones are out there with all the things they have to say. And then the rest of the people are just there, just either enjoying it or quietly not enjoying it and living their lives. So, find your people. Like you brought up in the past, like, you're part of, is it just Star Wars Galaxies, pretty much Discord?
Star Wars Galaxies Legends. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the full thing. And I'm I'm a spacer, like I'm a space main because I showed you off the space game. It looks really good for being a 2003 game, and the PvP is the player versus player combat in space is very intense because it's like dogfighting, and your Star Wars things, and you actually have to go into the in-game economy to build your ship and to make one better, So I
Yeah.
like that. So social engagement combined with the gameplay equals a good game that I enjoy, and it's free. So there's that too. And it's just it's good to be part of something. Like I'm talking to people all the time now. And people slide into my DMs asking me for like advice or favors or something like that. I RP too, or ERP, as you know. I just my role play band that I'm in, because this game has like instruments that your characters can play, and like each instrument has, it's called, they're called flourishes, which you're basically like, you play like a solo or something, like
Yeah.
you do something that's different than the base of the song. And then this person I'm in the band with, D, records all of the flourishes and then ties them together in like an audio program to make like actual songs in the game that are actually really good sounding.
Nice.
So like, there's so many ways to approach this game. That's why I really love it. And also you just meet a lot of cool people, and I engage with a lot of facets of the game. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And like things like that, like, and like I know other people that are part of like Star Wars Discords and stuff, that it's like people respect your differences and your different opinions. And
honestly, a lot of people in the game, in Star Wars Legends, have very positive reactions to the Acolyte. Because there's a lot of Jedi nerds. I think the most thing, like too, like one of the guys was really excited with it. I guess that tiny lightsaber has like a very specific name, and he was really excited.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So, he was really excited to see that, and it's just, all of it was really good. And again, that guy was super hot. Thick fucking arms, so we're all dirty and grimy.
Yeah. It's because he's Filipino as well. I'm telling you, man. It's kind of unfair how attractive Filipino people are.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But I married one, so
it's all that sunshine, man.
Yeah.
So it's just all the reactions. Everyone agreed universally, like, that episode 3. It was episode 3 that everybody handed right. The power of one.
Yeah.
The power of two. The power of many. What the fuck?
Yes, everybody hated that episode.
Everybody hated it. Like, everyone was like, dude, like, it literally, as soon as I hopped in and we started talking about it, the first suggestion that came out, I was like, wait, dude, why didn't they just sing it like in an alien language or something? That's exactly what you said. Why didn't they just do it in an alien language or something
just
like
chant it? Like,
chant it. Yeah, like I said, my friend is a musician. You are a musician. I told him, like, my friend's like a musician. And he chanted out like a song real quick that sounded 10 times better than the power of one.
Yeah.
The power of two. The power of many. It was just so stupid. Yeah. And then, like, the screeching at the moon and stuff. That's fine. I don't mind that. But, like, it's just, it was like ruined. It was like ruined before it already happened.
And on top of that, it's just like the episode is so unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like, you just don't need it. You could have run these episodes without that episode, and like your perception of the show doesn't change at all. Other than that these like witches exist, but like they could have they explained so much of the shit through dialogue already. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I mean,
do any of us really know? Do we?
Again, like it's still hard to like come to any full conclusion on the series because it's still 3 episodes left. 4 episodes, 6, 7, 8, 3 episodes left. And until you get through those episodes, right? I mean, can't really fully judge it. I think there's enough there to say, like, it's not great. But hey, if it ends really, really strong, like, there's a case for it being, a widely accepted, good piece of Star Wars under Disney media, right?
Yeah, so, like I said in the beginning, I just think that the original, like, I think I completely lost my train of thought. I had no idea where I was going to go with that at all.
You like
No, okay, now I remember what I was going to say. The setting, the High Republic. I think that this setting feels very distinct from the Clone Wars, from the Galactic Civil War, from the New Republic, from the Old Republic. Like, this feels like its own thing, and I really appreciate the effort they had to put into that. Yep. I think that's why this will carry on, and hopefully, it will have. This is just the 5th episode. We got 3 more episodes left. That means we got 1 or 2 more lightsaber duels left in them. Hopefully, like, the last episode will be super badass, because this was basically just one nonstop fight sequence. That's what it was. Like, it was broken up with a few 5-minute, like, talking scenes, or, when they use those bats to carry him away. Yeah. But aside from that, it was pretty much just nonstop action. Like, first he was murdering like 7 Jedi in a row, where he freaking stabbed 2 people through and chopped their heads off. I don't
Yeah.
know why they're always so opposed to showing people's heads getting chopped off actually on lightsaber when they show some dude's neck getting snapped, but whatever. Um,
They
they didn't show. Remember,
showed.
no, it was hidden. It was hidden. They showed the strike, but they didn't show the heads falling off. And I feel like in Star Wars they almost never do that. Like they never show the head actually like falling off of the person when you chop their head off with the freaking lightsaber. Except
Did
for that
they
one time.
show a head when Yoda chopped off the 2 clone troopers' heads? I don't think so, right? They just showed the bodies falling
Falling over? Yeah.
when he flipped up and.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we've seen a.
Yeah, I think Jango's Fett. Jango Fett is the most obvious
Oh
example.
yeah,
Obviously.
Django, yeah.
When he freaking picks up his dad's helmet and the head slipped out. That didn't happen, but I always see that meme everywhere.
Yeah.
The fucking decapitated head slips out of the helmet.
Yeah. And then he's gonna wear that helmet.
Yeah, dude, he's gonna fucking wear it. Oh man. Star Wars. Well, he's Mandalorian, so I guess it counts. It's pretty brutal and badass, and that's their thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a very enjoyable episode.
It was definitely not bad. That's a good thing to say. You know, it's important that, you know, we're here to experience this episode and enjoy it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I haven't seen anybody who's really said, "Wow, this episode was terrible."
I've seen some people like literally like balding because the episode. It's hard to deny that this episode was not of quality, right? It's hard for you to say like there were parts of this that I did not enjoy because like what do you fucking hate? Badass lightsaber fights? What do you fucking hate like a Sith murdering Jedi like in brutal, horrible ways? Like what do you fucking like? You know, maybe you hate like, you know, the sister stuff, sure, but that's whatever,
it's
man.
the sister stuff in the dialogue.
Yeah, and then that's it. Like the rest of the stuff was solid. It was good. Like it was good content.
Yeah.
And so now I see some people like, you know, like yourself, like, you know, obviously the prequel fights are really good, but I just think that these fights are really good too. And I don't think like people are online are just comparing them saying, well, the fights in the prequels were much better.
Well,
and
yeah.
I agree. But
Of course
also, it's
they
really
were,
funny to hear. It's funny to hear the sweaty Star Wars fans come out to defend the prequels all of a sudden when the Acolyte made a good episode. You know, like it just shows how much on slippery ground they are. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because there are well-known prequel haters. I mean, a lot of people that are like in their 20s or younger or whatever probably enjoyed the prequels because they grew up with them.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, there's a lot of people that really hate the prequels. There's a lot of people that think that Star Wars died after Empire. There's a lot of people that get mad about canon-breaking things and whatever, but don't realize all the retcons George Lucas did. I mean, these people lost their minds at midi-chlorians, right? Like, you know, like very clearly George Lucas didn't plan to have Luke and Leia be brother and sister when he had them making out, right? Yeah. Like these are all quote unquote potentially canon breaking things. But I think most people wouldn't care about that kind of stuff if you give them a good story and something to enjoy, right? Like, so nobody's watching this episode going, well, look at they're breaking canon again because there's clearly a guy who calls himself a Sith. It's like, well, okay, but like it was cool. So, like,
it was cool, yeah.
And again, like you have to wait for something to be finished and really like figure out what everyone knows before you can say, oh, that broke canon. Because again, Ki-Adi-Mundi is fucking useless. Mm-hmm. Like, you could bring Darth Maul in shackles before Ki-Adi-Mundi in the council, and he can say, yeah, I am a Sith apprentice, and Ki-Adi-Mundi would be like, I don't know, the Sith, they've been gone for millennia. You're going to believe this guy? Really? Yeah. This guy? Yeah. Just because he has a red lightsaber? That's just... So.
Yeah, I just, yeah, you know, I don't know why everyone's, like, you know, people are nitpicking the grasping at straws. You know, obviously there's weak episodes. Episode 3 comes to mind, but, you know, these last 2 have been pretty good. Like, there was the build-up, and then there was the actual, like, satisfaction of what was going on, you know? So.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like they could have condensed last week's episode into this and that, right? Like they could have like combined those two episodes.
Sure, but you know, that's literally every single show on Disney Plus. So you know, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I remember having those discussions about Loki needing to only be like 5.
Everything important happened in the last 3 episodes. Like everything else was just stupid fucking filler. That's just what it was. Like you know, it's just you know, they're supposed to be shows. That's the problem. Like you know. I wish they would follow the set standard of like, you know, they go back to the TV standard. Okay, like the show, it needs to have 24 episodes, you know, or like 12 episodes, like 8, 9, 11, 12, 15, 13, 7. Like I fucking hate this shit, dude. I hate it.
Yeah, so much of it is dictated by like wanting to get longer subscriptions to like your streaming platforms, but also just you can't overdo these things or underdo them. And like so many of like the 6 episode series should have just been like a 2 hour movie special.
Yeah, movie. Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But then
Like
you
Moon
can't
Knight,
get
I really
people
feel
to
like Moon
subscribe
Knight.
for 2 months.
I feel like Moon Knight should have been a movie. You know, what's the thing is like you make movies that are so good and like okay, you can only watch these on Disney Plus. Obviously, there's going to be pirating, but that's the tale as old as time. You know,
Yeah.
like that's just like that. I mean, like Netflix. Like there's shows on Netflix, like House of Cards, right? Even you know you can't find House of Cards anywhere else. You have to go to Netflix to watch House of Cards.
Yeah.
Like to watch Stranger Things, you have to go to Netflix to watch Stranger Things. If you want to watch Star Wars, you have to go to Disney Plus. You know, if you want to see like that in Moon Knight instead of it was a show, what if it was a really good movie with Oscar Isaac, who is like a freaking award-winning actor who's in everything and he's amazing and he's like really good and he's also really got great personality and he's a nice guy, which is way better than all the other actors, you know. And like, okay, you can only watch this amazing Marvel movie with Oscar Isaac as the hero on Disney Plus. You know, that's where my mind goes. But streaming is the Wild West for a lot of these guys. I think like you know they're trying to reinvent the wheel and they really shouldn't, and things are going to start settling into normalcy eventually. You know, because like Paramount Plus is eventually going to explode at some point probably. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of these streaming platforms that just don't make any money. Like I don't know why would you subscribe to Paramount Plus when like you know South Park's on freaking you know scattered off Amazon. They'll just be channels on Amazon or something like that. They won't be their own streaming platforms anymore.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents anyway.
Well, I mean, we're pretty much back to cable, to be honest. Like,
yeah, we are absolutely.
you're paying what you pay for cable to watch everything you want to watch.
I keep joking. One of these days, like they'll produce like a box that you can put into your house, and it'll have all the different streamings on, and you can just use this thing like a remote to control this box and change through the different streaming services.
Yeah, but the box now is just your smart TV.
And maybe people can run these things like an advertisement that they pay the showrunners for between the episodes.
Yeah,
and
no, they don't pay the showrunners; they pay the streaming service.
The streaming service, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, so it's we've definitely come full circle. I think we'll become more full circle in like the next 2 to 3 or 5 years. I think things will settle. And hopefully, like, there'll be someone who offers like a really good deal. Like, I think eventually there's going to be a company that comes around that like you pay money to that company and then you get access to all these streaming sites.
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen eventually. It's just going to take the right talent to make a way to make that system work.
I mean, they're already starting to do like these bundles, but like it's the same price.
Yeah.
So if like they can, well, I mean, like Disney, right? Like they have stock and everything, right? So they have Hulu, like they own pretty much Hulu and ESPN now. So like, yeah, you can bundle those and save money, but like there's also add-ons like, oh, I can add on, HBO Max, but it's the same price as if I just got HBO Max separately. So, those kind of things. So like, unless it's like they can like make deals where you can do all these bundles and get something way cheaper, which again is like pretty much DirecTV. like it's all cyclical. It all comes back around. We're pretty much back at cable. So anyway, if you guys hate this show and hate The Acolyte, go watch the presidential debate tonight. So you can hate that too. But
you just watch 2 old dudes shake their fist at each other and like scream and yell and
babble
like,
at each other.
Yeah, and one's like probably close to having a heart attack, and the other one just doesn't know where he is anymore. Like he's just
yeah, he got to pick his side of the stage too. He was like, I want that one.
And then the guy's like, oh, I need to be on stage. I need to be in front of the cameras. What? I'm not sweating. I'm sweating. Get the fuck out of here. I need to sit down. Why is there not a chair? Why is there not a big, beautiful chair in front of the debate?
Like, Mr. President, you do know if you picked that podium that Donald Trump gets the last word, right?
Dude, this shit is so stupid. Like, this shit has me so fucking stressed out. Like, this whole election cycle, dude.
As everyone's stressed out because,
dude,
again,
like,
no matter who wins, we all as Americans lose.
We lose.
So,
we lose. Yeah, we absolutely lose.
Like, the loony bins are officially running the country. And have been for a while, to be honest. So, that's how it goes. So if you want to be depressed, or if you honestly don't care about politics and how they may or may not affect you, and you just want to have a good laugh, go tune into to the presidential debate so you can make a slightly more informed decision on which awful person you want to run our country. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Chair, for being with me, as always. We'll be back next week to talk about the next episode of The Acolyte. Much love. Share your thoughts. Like, subscribe, comment, rate, review.
Please.
Goodbye.
Please.
See you next time.
Please do all those things. Please do it. Please, God. Please.